Welcome to the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit.
Oh, well, he's very popular.
And today it's Macro Monday.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Where we show you the big picture and how you can take advantage of it.
Show me the money!
And now, the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit on ESPN Radio 1700.
Welcome to the show. Please come inside. Ladies and gentlemen, do you want it? Do you need it? Let me hear it. Ladies and gentlemen, do you want it? Do you need
Welcome.
Let me hear it. Ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Credit Show. It's Macro Monday, and it's JJ in the hot seat today. Synergy One Lending. If you have any questions, I'm going to give you this right out of the gate. I want to get those questions answered for you in a timely fashion. You can go to askjjnow.com. And I know with our guests in the studio, you may very well have some questions for them or may want to reach out to them. So you can do that right through me. You can give me a call, you send me a text message, or shoot me an email right through that. Let's go a quick market update. And once again, we just see green across the board. It's amazing how the stock market keeps trekking upward and onward. We've now crossed over that 17,000 mark on the Dow once again, and we will see if it holds. The NASDAQ has set a record for numerous days in a row. S&P's got some green on it. And the good thing, if you are shopping for a home or refinancing, the bond markets are holding up quite well. They're not following the suit of the stock market, and they're holding pretty tight. And it's an interesting dynamic. I mean, we're seeing the rally in the markets, probably some money coming over from Europe still, with Europe in kind of a turmoil situation, but it's flowing into our stock market here, and it's keeping our treasury market pretty well. It's a supply and demand thing, but people are putting money there, and it's good. So here's the deal. If you are in escrow, or you're looking to refinance, I mean, one thing that you want to be aware of is interest rates. I mean, the chances of them going higher are probably higher than they are interest rates going down. I continue to talk to people that are waiting for interest rates to drop, and I just don't see that happening. I mean, here we are in August, and we've been through the summer months. You've been very lucky so far. With the stock market rallying, just be careful what you're doing with the rates. I mean, you can lock it in, you can be done with it, and worry about the other things in your real estate transaction that you need to worry about moving and getting people to set up your cable and get your electric and water turned on. And with that being said, I want to introduce our guest today. We have an amazing panel in the studio. And remember, the Mr. Credit Show brings you the experts in here. We don't just bring in anybody to the show because we want you to have the information that the best of the best have. And that's what we have in the studio today, the best of the best. Theresa and Shay Realtors. Theresa, how are you today?
I'm doing great, JJ. Thanks for having us on.
I'm glad you're in the studio today. I'm going to pick your brain a little bit. Ray, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, that's good. And we're going to dive into you guys in just a little bit. But Theresa and Shay from ShayRealtors.com. And I want to point out it's SHAY Realtors.com. You can check them out online. And I'll give you their contact info in just a little bit. But some top realtors in San Diego County and have been for many years. Definitely specializing in a couple areas, and we're going to talk about those areas. Let's do a quick sports update. We are on ESPN. Are either of you guys, are you sports fans at all?
Of course.
Yeah. Well, it's tough being in San Diego.
More than I am.
I'll tell you, I'm a sports fan, but, living in San Diego, especially when we have the weather that we've had. I mean, this year has been like summer all year.
Oh.
And here we are. Football has started. Have you caught any of the games?
Just a little bit.
A little bit. I have not. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't. Just highlights. Preseason just doesn't get me excited. We're not even out of baseball yet. Football's already started. And the Chargers, they're 1-2 right now in preseason. But I'm gonna just throw this out there. Don't give up hope yet. It's preseason. And, the starters aren't playing. It's just one of those things. You got some teams out there that are undefeated already in the league. hey, it's preseason.
Yep.
What difference does it make? It's just, it is what it is. And the Padres, they continue their trek downward. They just keep losing ground. I love the Pods. I don't know who's on the field anymore. But I went to a game, took my 5-year-old son to a game 2 weeks ago. And I honestly recognized maybe 3 people on the roster, on the starting lineup. It was a interesting dynamic for me. Big baseball fan, but you just don't know who's even on the field right now. So Padres, it's almost September, and I hate to say it, but I think your season's over. And, if you're a San Diego fan, just go to the game. Enjoy the beautiful weather, enjoy the awesome stadium that we have. But here's an interest. I wanted to bring this up because it's a big deal. And fortunately, I don't have to worry about this in my household, except for my mother-in-law. But I want to talk about allergies just for a moment. And the reason why I bring this up is a very good friend of mine had an incredible experience with this recently, just last week, actually, a week ago, Sunday, at a restaurant here in San Diego. And I just don't think about it much because I don't have to. I don't have any allergies. My wife doesn't have any allergies. We've got 2 young kids, a 4- and a 5-year-old. My son's allergic to penicillin, so we know we got to worry about that. But as far as nut allergies and food allergies and things like that, we just don't have to. Are you guys allergic to anything, Theresa?
We are not really allergic to anything, but I mean, we've had our bouts where I've got, typical pollen with
Yep.
my middle son and whatnot. But my other son, older son, has an allergy to Advil.
To Advil.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ibuprofen. You would think. I mean, that's something, even I know my daughter's been battled with ear infections and Advil galore for that poor little thing.
Yeah.
So a buddy of mine, both of his kids they have nut allergies and pretty strong nut allergies. And it's amazing to me because I never, growing up as a kid, there was no peanut-free table. Right. There were, in school, you take whatever you want. You fly in an airplane, you get your peanuts. Now you don't get nuts on the airplane. The schools have the nut-free tables, and it's a big deal. And I never really considered it a big deal. I know my mother-in-law is allergic to nuts, not peanuts, but other things. So she'll be at a restaurant and she'll mention it. Well, my friend was at a restaurant last Sunday for breakfast, and he's adamant about recognizing, telling the restaurant or whoever the waiter is about the allergies for the kids, and said, hey, you know what? It was like chocolate pancakes with a syrup. Kid gets the chocolate pancakes with the syrup. Has been repeated. I think he said he repeated it 5 times, making sure there's nut and there's no nuts. They can't have nuts. He will go on whatever that shock is, and we'll have to take them. They carry EpiPens with them. And sure enough, the syrup had hazelnut in it. And first time in public for them to deal with this, but luckily their son, who is, I think, a 3rd grader, pretty young kid, he recognized the feeling change in his throat pretty fast. EpiPen comes out, trip to the emergency room, and everything's fine. Everything's fine. But I only bring this up because if you are in the restaurant business and you're that waiter or waitress, you guys have it hard enough. But when people are mentioning allergies, you got to make sure. You got to make sure, because this poor kid it could have been way worse. I mean, he's very allergic. The EpiPen doesn't stop stuff. It just keeps him going for a few minutes to get to the hospital and make things right. So I just like to bring these things up because it's important out there, and it's something that regretfully is it's a growing thing. I was at a friend's house this past weekend, and it seems like their whole family is allergic to something. I mean, the dad is allergic. I mean, I've never heard of anybody allergic to watermelon and honeydew melon and cantaloupe and avocado. It's like, dude, I don't know what you can eat. You should be 2 pounds because there's nothing you're not allergic to. But it's a sad thing. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that. But just be careful. Just be careful. If you're having friends over, let them know if there's nuts and things in there. So, Theresa Marie, I ran across this story, and I bring it up. I'm just curious because I have my own thoughts, and it's okay to disagree with me. It's okay to disagree with me. But, here we are. The economy is finally at least from some economists, finally kind of moving forward. We've had a really tough time for some years with people getting employment. Wages still really aren't increasing all that dramatically across the board. We live in a pretty special place in San Diego here, and I think sometimes we're a little padded from the rest of the world, especially when you go out and about. I live in Encinitas, and people are shopping. Restaurants are jam-packed. I don't think it doesn't seem like there's any lack of spending going on out there. People are spending money, which is a good thing. And they could be tourists as well. But this story, it's on CNN. And there are retirees where their Social Security checks are being garnished for student loans. And it's a growing national trend. Last year, 156,000 Americans had their Social Security checks garnished because of student loans they had defaulted on. It's tripled in number from 2006. Now, here's the thing. I get it. I understand that they want to be repaid, the student loans, because it's not something you can include in a bankruptcy or anything like that.
Right.
There's two sides of it. I mean, here I have these two little kids. I got to save for their college. I got to save for it. Who knows if there's going to be help? And I'm also in the lending business, and I see credit reports, thousands of credit reports every year, and I see a ton of student loan debt on there. I see student loan late payments. I see it's a major problem. However, there's the flip side. I mean, you have the government programs that are giving the student loans out. You have other student loan private programs. You're borrowing money that needs to be repaid. You're going into agreement on something that needs to be repaid. So I'm okay with the Social Security benefits being garnished because these are loans that you haven't paid back. And I get it that you can't give it away. Now, I understand people need the money, and we're talking about survival at a certain point in time. We're talking about food and shelter and making your other bill payments. So I see all sides of it. And I don't know if it's right or wrong, and I'm not saying it's wrong to do it. I'm not saying it's right to do it, but I understand why they would want to do it, why they would garnish the wages. It's just like if you have a tax lien. Eventually, the tax man's going to come after your paycheck. They are. They're going to file, they're going to find out who your employer is, and they're going to start taking money. Now, should there be a different approach? Possibly. But, Ray, I'm just going to get your point because I need some clarification from a third party here. Do you think this is okay to do, or do you think that if people get to a certain point, and it's okay to disagree with me, these are people that are retired. Maybe they're still working. They're collecting Social Security. I mean, is it wrong for them to garnish the benefits?
Well, I think it's a balance because some people obviously are struggling out there, and you look at each case individually. And I think that the government just has to balance the needs of recovering the money with what is the right thing to do. Yeah,
and that's a good point. It's a case-by-case basis. And maybe it is just looking at their overall picture and figuring that out. So maybe that's something you guys got to do. I mean, just don't take the money. Just, reach out to the person, see what their cost of living is maybe, and balance it all out. I mean, life is full of balances all the time, not just with time, but definitely money. And let's all work together on this one. We have amazing people in the studio today, some of the top real estate agents in the county right here today on the Mr. Credit Show. When we come back, we're going to get right into their background, how they got into real estate, and talk about the two markets that they really dominate here in San Diego County, 4S Rancho and Rancho Penasquitos, and some of the things that they do differently and offer the communities, which is pretty awesome stuff. It's your lunch hour, Mr. Credit, 1700 ESPN.
If you would like free advice from Mr. Credit, just call or text 619-786-7853. That's 619-786-7853.
Welcome back to the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit. And today it's Macro Monday on ESPN Radio 1700.
Welcome back. It is your lunch hour on the Mr. Credit Show. It's John Jerotz, JJ with Synergy One Lending. If you have a question for myself or our guest today in the studio, Theresa and Ray Shay with ShayRealtors.com. That's SHAY Realtors.com. You can always go to Ask JJ Now. teresa@realestateconsulting.com and shoot me any sort of contact that you want, text, phone, email, and we'll try to take care of your question either today or as soon as possible. So really glad to hear you guys or see you guys in the studio today. I know it's not easy taking your time out of a Monday to make it on the radio, especially coming out of a weekend. That's when a lot of the real estate transactions are done. And then Monday is like, okay, full gas, pedal to the metal here, and you got to make stuff happen. But appreciate you taking the time. So how did you guys, Ray, I'll go to you on this one. How did you guys get into the real estate business?
About 8 years ago, I was with San Diego Police Department as a lieutenant, and I accompanied Theresa on a presentation downtown, Brian Buffini, who really talked about the importance of taking care of clients, quality time with clients, being good to them, and also really knowing the market. And so after I heard that conference, I decided that it would be a smart idea to actually leave the police department and join Theresa's real estate company.
That's great.
Yeah. He took a deferred retirement on that. I'm like, well, that's a big gamble.
Yeah, let's jump in here. Let's go back here and see. Let's work those numbers. No, I'm sure it's worked out quite well. Teresa, and how about you? How did you get into the business?
Well, that was back in 2003. We
Okay.
had a good friend of ours who is now passed, but he was a broker, and he convinced me to quit my steady pay job, jump in full commission. I'm like, oh, okay. And Ray's like, go ahead. He's always been a huge supporter of whatever I want to go do, and if it's an adventure, go for it. And so we did, and I actually started in the commercial side.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Okay.
So I helped investors buy apartment buildings and convert them into condominiums because
Okay.
at that time, inventory was low. They
Yes.
needed some more. But I just decided that really wasn't the way to go. You know, I loved doing it, but it was all cold calling, and that's just not the way I like to do business. 85% of our business is based off of referral and client relationships, and building that relationship and getting those referrals back from them.
Yeah.
So
that's great. So you've been
Yeah.
you've seen a lot. You've seen obviously the growth factor of the San Diego real estate market.
Yeah.
You've seen the crash
Yeah.
of the real estate market and sort of the regrowth. And it's an amazing dynamic to watch, especially in San Diego. You guys cover some really great areas in the county, and I realize that most real estate agents cover anywhere. So I don't want to tie you to certain areas, but you guys do specialize in some areas, and you definitely have a huge presence. Forest Ranch, Del Sur, Santa Luz are all kind of intermingled on bordering each other, and then Rancho Penasquitos. And one of the things that, it's amazing, you go back to those 2000s, the years in 2000s, and there's a couple areas in San Diego County that almost mirrored each other, I think. In sort of the San Marcos area, you have San Elijo Hills, and then you have Forest Ranch, which, they almost were built at the same times, and the condos and the single family at different levels. You had a lot of first-time home buyers jump into that condo market, capture great equity very quickly, and sort of move up to the top of the hill, if you will.
Right.
And great family communities as well, both of them. And what about, if I were to, talk about like Forest Ranch, and you toss in Del Sur into there, Santa Luz is a little higher end, and we'll get to that. What are some of the great qualities? I mean, when you're looking at purchasing a home, why would somebody want to be in Forest Ranch, Ray?
Well, many of the great things about that community is that it's master planned. So you have a very strong HOA. You have a lot of options available from condos, townhomes, single-level homes, to estate homes. So there's a lot to choose from. There's a lot of spirit of the community of Forest Ranch, Del Sur. Another thing that sets us apart, I believe, is the outstanding schools. You have a Design 39 campus, which just opened this year. We also have Del Norte High School, Oak Valley Middle School. They are all award-winning schools. And there's just a real sense of community in both Del Sur, Forest Ranch. And you can throw in Crosby Estates and also Santa Fe Valley. They're all a very active community, very participatory. We do movies in the park. There's lots of events occurring all the time. And it's just a great place to live.
Yeah, I remember working with somebody. He's actually a listener of the show a few years ago. And it was one of those things, he wanted to refinance, and just the value just wasn't there. He had purchased kind of the height of the market, and just couldn't get the value. And then, just a year and a half later, boom, he's got the value, 20% equity position, and that's how fast the equity can come back. But he just loves Forest Ranch, just loves it. Would never think about moving. Loves having his family there. I had a long discussion with him, and it just, it's one of those things. All the different events that the community does, that community feeling. So it's a great place to live. One thing that I know about you guys, and a lot of people don't, is you've created something called community hubs. And it's a really interesting dynamic to me. I've never seen anybody else do it. I don't know of any real estate agent or even community really that has them out there. So I want to talk about this. You call them Shay Community Hubs, right? And Ray, tell me what they are.
Well, we're excited about it because we think that as a community, in all the areas I worked as a police officer, whether it was the beach area, Southeast San Diego, community always needs a place to meet. And if you're a baseball coach, you're a teacher, you're a volunteer, all those groups need a place to meet. It's very difficult for them to actually meet at a person's house this week, and then next week they're at another person's house, and the wife is throwing a cup at the husband saying, take that board meeting out of this house. Or if they try and go to a restaurant, it really doesn't work because they have business to accomplish, and the waitress is trying to conduct him or her trying to do their business, and just not conducive to a great place to meet and build a sense of community. So what we decide is let's build something different. From the structure of a real estate company to the way our buildings are built to everything about it. Just look at it all new. And I strongly believe, and we both do, that it's the future of real estate. That we do most of our deals on iPads. People said, you're crazy. Don't open a real estate office unless you have 8 desks on one side, 8 on the other, get a desk fee, and get a slice of their commission. And we decided, let's go the opposite way. Let's go a few realtors that are outstanding. And then let's provide outstanding service. But let's open these community hubs, which is trademarked nationwide. And the thought is that then teachers, volunteers, they can come and meet at our hubs at no cost.
Wow.
We've never charged a single penny. We have 5 flat screens at each of the hubs. It reflects on Apple TV. We love teachers, coaches. We have lunchtime groups that come in, special parents of special need children meet there and get coaching on how to handle their responsibilities better.
That's amazing.
But the feedback we get from the community has been very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, it gets used almost about 4 nights to 5 nights a week.
Wow.
And sometimes on Saturday and Sunday, we'll have different groups from schools that'll come in. And so it's limited, obviously, because we like to have adults in there. But if there are high school students that have adult chaperones that are there, they've used it. I think we had, didn't we have that where he did improv? A student who does improv over at Del Norte High School, he wanted to do skits there. So we let him go ahead and do it there. It was great. And so it's great to see it being used for things that it's better that for the kids to use it that way than for them to be on the streets.
Definitely. So I want to, so you have a community hub in Forest Ranch, correct?
Yes.
And you also have a community hub in Rancho Penasquitos as well?
Yes.
Wow.
That's correct. And we have a third location. We call it the rental hub.
Okay.
And it's just a small, we actually start off on a 12-foot by 12-foot kiosk. Again, people said, you guys are crazy.
Yeah.
No one, a good friend of ours named Dan Barnett said, there's no way people are going to walk up to that hub and try and sell a house.
Yeah.
And it took about 3 weeks, and someone walked up to the kiosk, 12 by 12, and said they want to sell a house.
That is amazing. Well, I applaud you guys for doing it because it is an amazing thing. I live in Levenheim and Encinitas, and there's not these things out there. There just isn't. And just because of this, I mean, you need to support the people that are supporting your community. And that's why you want to support the Shay team, shayrealtors.com, if you want to check them out. So, I mean, where did you get the concept from? I mean, that's what I'm wondering.
Well, it's interesting because one time I was assigned to Mid-City Division, and there was some community members that we received complaints that they were hanging out in a parking lot. And I went there and met with them, and they were doing nothing illegal. The owner of the business was out of line, telling them that they had to leave. They were sitting there on a brick wall in a dirt lot drinking coffee. And I said, you have to support people's right to meet. It's a fundamental right.
Yeah.
And the more you can support that, and we never pitch them, we just let them use it. Some of our regular users, like Forest Ranch Soccer, some of the baseball clubs, we give them a key. We give them an alarm code. Say,
That's
go have your
amazing.
meeting. And it's coaches and teachers that save more kids than I ever did as a police officer.
Yeah.
And when you work those lower income neighborhoods, you learn that that is the backbone of a community.
Oh, definitely.
And if you can help them, you help them, and then good things will flow out of it.
Yeah, that's amazing, and hopefully this is coming back to you in spades. When we come back, I want to talk about giving back to the community, because you guys are obviously doing that with the hubs. I want to talk about the nonprofits that you've created, because it is an amazing thing. We're in the studio with Theresa and Ray Shay, ShayRealtors.com. It's SHAY Realtors.com. It's your lunch hour on this Macro Monday, 1700 ESPN.
If you would like free advice from Mr. Credit, just call or text 619-786-7853. That's 619-786-7853.
Welcome back to the lunch hour with Mr. Credit. And today it's Macro Monday on ESPN Radio 1700.
Welcome back. It is your Macro Monday on this beautiful August 25th Monday. It is amazing. We're almost into September. Kids are back in school. At least my kids are back in school. I know not all of them are. Some are starting next week, and we'll see the traffic flow change, I'm sure, around the county. We have Theresa and Ray Shay, ShayRealtors.com, in the studio today. Top producing, I believe you guys are probably in the top 1% in San Diego County. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I know that you have been in that wonderful classification for a long time. And that's what we do. We bring the best of the best in the studio to make you smarter than the next person, so you can make those wise choices that you need to, especially when it comes to the biggest transaction of your life, typically the real estate transaction. So before the break, we were talking about the wonderful community hubs that you guys have created, and something that you're just not going to see around town. But if you are in the Forest Ranch area, Del Sur, Santa Luz area, or Rancho Penasquitos, I mean, I urge you to stop by and check out the hub, because you're going to see what the Shays are all about. I mean, that's kind of the essence of what you're creating out there, to giving back to the community. And I want to talk about giving back, because I don't think there's enough of it. I know the government's taking from Social Security. We talked about that right out of the gate. Sorry to throw you on the spot there, Ray, to get your opinion on it. But we need more giving back, and it's a wonderful thing. So you guys have created some nonprofits, and I want to hear about those. Theresa?
Well, I think the first one, I'll talk about the community nonprofit. So, I don't know, probably back in 2006, 2007, we decided to do our own little business networking group, right? We'd meet 7 a.m., get all the business groups in the community together, and almost like a BNI, right? Because everyone didn't want to commit to like every single week. But if we can do it once a month, great. All the businesses get together, share some information, what's going on within the community. And then from there, Ray said, you know what? This is the visionary part of Ray again.
You got a lot of vision over
He
there.
does. He's got a lot of vision. Why does it just have to be a business networking group? And so we then created with the San Diego Foundation, the Forest Ranch Del Sur Community Foundation. And so he was the chair of that and the founder of it. We had a small group, and now it's over, I think we've had 250 members over the last,
Wow.
yeah. And so last year we granted back $26,000. Last 2 years we've granted back $26,000 back into the community.
That's awesome.
So anything within that 92127 area that falls within that Forest Ranch Del Sur boundary, they apply for grants. We have a grant cycle. And so we usually do the awards, the grant presentation and celebration in May.
Wow.
Of the end of the year, so end of the school year.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
On that. Is there a website or something that somebody
So if
can
you
go
just
to?
Google Forest Ranch Del Sur Community Foundation,
Okay.
it'll come up under the San Diego Foundation under there. So and then you can find out more information, how much we've granted each year for each cycle, and then it's fun. It's fun events. It's based off of membership, and so you get families that will pay $250. They get one vote for deciding on who those grants are going to go to for that year. And last year, I think we had to choose from about 5 different organizations.
Great.
And it was great. It's great. And it's more social than it is anything else. So there isn't a lot of fundraising, other than the fact that we do. They do help us with the thank you run every year on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
But other than that, it's all membership based.
And what's the thank you run?
So the thank you run, we're on our 5th annual this year. It's held every Thanksgiving. It's at 7:30 in the morning. We have wonderful sponsors. It's Carl Strauss the last 2 years. They'll be our sponsor again this year. And it supports, half the money goes back to the Forest Ranch Del Sur Community Foundation, and the other half goes back to HelensCloset.org.
Wow.
And HelensCloset.org is a foundation that we created on behalf of my mom. She passed from ALS back in December of 2008. And so there's so much money and so much awareness going on right now. It's been a phenomenon that, I mean, it literally does awe me every day to watch people that we know, friends that we know, doing the whole Ice Bucket Challenge. And donating money. I mean, they've raised over $50 million.
It is amazing. And I mean, I know some people are getting tired of seeing it, but it is a phenomenon, and it has just generated so much money. So, put your thoughts to yourself. Don't watch them if you don't want to watch them. And I urge the people that are, involved to give. Part of the challenge is, it's great to do the Ice Bucket Challenge, but give money. Right. And that's happening, which is great. It's actually happening, and obviously this is close to your heart. Yeah. So it's great to see that, and it's amazing, Ray.
And I think an important part of the whole Ice Bucket Challenge and giving back that Theresa actually formed HelensCloset.org, which provides, with all the money, every penny that is raised goes to buying wheelchairs, ramps for people with ALS that cannot afford them. So every penny, we make no profit on it. We're fortunate enough to work with the ALS Association of San Diego. We say pick out what wheelchairs you want, what wraps you want, and we write the check. And it's just for a fantastic cause. And the term Helen's Closet came from when I first met Theresa. Her mother, Helen, had a closet. And every time we visit her in Parsippany, New Jersey, she'd open up that closet and say, I have something for you. So she'd pass out. We got socks every Christmas, but we got all these gifts out of that closet. And that was the way she always loved giving back. Yeah. And even though she was devastated with this disease, and it's a very difficult disease to watch, but you have a loved one, you care for them, and you just try and make them comfortable. Because unfortunately, there's no cure. There's no cure. Yeah. But now we call it HelensCloset.org. It's on the website. And this Thanksgiving Day run is our biggest fundraiser for ALS. So I encourage anybody out there, if you're looking for something to do on Thanksgiving, we have a 5K, a 10K, and also a kids run. And probably 70% of it is on the trails around Forest Ranch. You have beautiful vistas. We have people that have returned every year for 5 years because they love it so much. We're up over 1,000 runners. We hope to have 1,500 to 2,000 this year. And it's a great Turkey Day run.
That's
so
awesome.
I'd love to see
That's
it.
awesome. So before you, stuff your face on Thanksgiving, get some exercise. We all want to get some exercise, and it's always beautiful on Thanksgiving too. But what a great cause. And giving back it's amazing because the real estate business can be quite lucrative for a lot of people, and to take the time and create these different organizations. I mean, you guys you're doing multiple things. It's not like you're just doing one thing. You're creating multiple things and multiple ways to give back to the community. So thank you for doing that. Do you think that kind of the giving back, has helped George's business grow over time, Theresa?
I do. I think, just like when you create any nonprofit, even when you, it brings awareness to who created it. Yeah. And so I don't say that it's just notoriously, but people recognize it. Yeah. And I think it's been good. It's been good for our business. It's been good for our team to see it. Because I think that, especially in the different generations, they need to see how it's done from the ground up. And we really are, it is pretty new as far as how much money we've raised now. It's actually getting a lot larger. And it's great for them to all be a part of it. Yeah. So they spread the word. We're down at the parks. They all know. And most people, a lot of those organizations have been great to us as far as when they do their opening days, they do announce us and they say they give back to the community. So that's why we refer them. And so it's all been very positive. It's not the reason why we did it, but it has definitely helped us in our business. Yeah. Well, and,
I don't think, that's the thing. You're not doing it to get the business. I just think that people recognize the type of quality individuals that you are and your company is, and they want to support that. Right. And when you're top quality, it just feeds on itself. So I applaud you. It's a wonderful thing. I do want to talk about the real estate market and what it's looking like in your areas there. You do service some different types of areas but let's just take, for instance, Forest Ranch, Del Sur, Santa Luz, Crosby.
Right.
all kind of interconnected there. You got the Forest Ranch, the master plan, and then it's kind of grown off from there. People, think of Santa Luz and the Crosby as Rancho Santa Fe, just falling into a different zip code. But what is the inventory looking like in that area?
So, the inventory, when you start going into that Crosby and Santa Luz area, obviously has grown a little bit because they definitely stay on the market longer. Anything over that $1.1 million, $1.2 million mark, obviously there's less buyers that are available to purchase that just because of qualifications, as you know. And the lenders are that much more stricter now. And it's good because
hey, watch what you say. No.
I think it's great
that
you are,
thing.
Because we came from a market where it was just easy to get a loan, right? And so we are definitely finding our buyers getting a little bit frustrated when they're going through the process because they have to provide everything.
Yeah.
And it's great. I think it's good. I say it's really hard, but it's good for you to do that.
Well, it's good for the long run, too. It's good for the health of these areas and the real estate, market in general.
Yeah. But our, we're noticing, obviously, in that over $1 million mark, the times a market, I can't say they'll sell in 30 days.
Yeah.
They're taking 60, sometimes 90 or more. Over 2 million, you're 90 or more. Mm-hmm. It just varies on who's out there, and there's just a limited amount of buyers to look at them.
Yeah. Well, and do you think that's a bad thing?
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but it's hard for the sellers right now to kind of grasp because we were 6 months ago, things were going like that, right? It was really fast, and so now why isn't it selling?
Right.
And it's tough to say. You've got pickier buyers. They get in. They're definitely looking at every single part of that house, and sometimes they get a little nervous, and sometimes it falls out.
Yeah.
So, but that's just the way the changing market is. In the ones in the condos right now, they're going a little bit faster.
Yep.
So you definitely have more affordability there and more people that are looking to buy those.
Yeah, and I urge people, if you are out there looking at a home and you find the house that you get in escrow, remember that unless you're buying brand new construction, one of the things to remember is that, you're buying a house that is, maybe 7 years old, maybe 10 years old. Mm-hmm. And you can't expect it to be perfect. You're going to get a home inspection typically. They're going to point things out. And the inspector's job is to, really point out a lot of things. But you can't just go to the seller and ask for the world. That's not the way the game works. And don't think of it like a game. It's a business transaction, something that you're going to live in, and it's an investment. It's a home. It's a place to call your house and you come home to every day. Don't get caught up in the request for repairs and ask for 1,000 things. That's not the way it works. And just come up with a solution. If you love a house, make the decision, make a fair offer for the seller, and get it done. When we come back, we're going to continue talking about the markets in Forest Ranch, Del Sur, Santa Luz, Rancho Penasquitos. We have Theresa and Ray Shay with Shay Realtors, shayrealtors.com. It's SHAY Realtors.com. When we come back, it's the Mr. Credit Show, 1700 ESPN.
If you would like free advice from Mr. Credit, just call or text 619-786-7853. That's 619-786-7853.
Welcome back to the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit. And today it's Macro Monday on ESPN Radio 1700.
Welcome back. It is your Lunch Hour, 1700 ESPN, the Mr. Credit Show. It's John Jerotz with Synergy One Lending. JJ, go to askjjnow.com for all your lending needs. If you have a question about today's show or just questions in general about mortgage, real estate, we will make sure you get the answers that you need. In studio today, we have Theresa and Ray Shay with Shay Realtors, shayrealtors.com. Experts in San Diego County, top 1% in San Diego County. It takes a lot to get there. They give back a ton to the communities they're in. And right before the break, we were talking about just the Forest Ranch area, Del Sur, Santa Luz, experts in Rancho Penasquitos as well. And I'm curious, as we've seen this just run up in price around San Diego the last couple of years, 2011 to 2012 was big. 2012 to 2013 was gigantic. It seemed like 20% gains or more in a lot of places. And now it's kind of, for me, it's kind of nice to see. We're just not seeing those gigantic gains from 13 to 14, which I think is healthy. And people need to remember that we can't continue 20% gains year over year and maintain a healthy real estate market. But what do the price per square foot look like or just price points in these communities that you're looking at?
Well, in the Forest Ranch Del Sur area, you can get on a price per square foot anywhere from $260 up to over $300 a square foot, just depending upon what. And that's detached homes.
Yeah.
It actually goes up a little bit higher when you go into the attached and the condos, and that's
They're more well sought out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then typically it's just that's where the dollar point is. I mean, I helped my dad buy a condo in Forest Ranch on a short sale, $325, and I think now it's worth about over $460.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So
that's amazing,
and that was just 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
So,
Big change.
but I do see it steady. It's definitely stagnating just a little bit.
Yeah.
We were just talking with our sellers last night about that. How we're just seeing a little bit of a softening in the market. You're still getting some activity, but we thought probably about 4 months ago they probably would have had 40 people through their house right off the get go. It's down to about 10, but they did still get good offers on it. But it's not like it was before, where you think you can expect the top end of the range.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we tell them, now you can do it on the buy side. Look at it the same way.
Right.
You can actually have some negotiating power on that.
And that's Theresa, you bring up a great point, because I think we all get caught. Sometimes we get caught up, and people get caught up in the stories that are in the media.
Right.
Housing prices are softening or inventory levels are up. But think about it this way. I mean, you have a great opportunity as a buyer and a seller right now in the marketplace. Yeah, you may not get 40 offers on your home. That's okay. If you get 2 offers, you should be thankful for 2. If you get 1 offer, that means somebody is interested in your home. But as a buyer, let's say you're moving up. There's a great opportunity there as a buyer as well. So take advantage of both sides of the transaction. You guys are in a marketplace that has a lot of new construction as well. I'll take the word "a lot" back. I mean, there's no place in San Diego County that has a lot of new construction, but you do see the new construction around there. I mean, Ray, what is that looking like out there?
Especially in the Del Sur area. The Standard Pacific has some amazing products out there, and there's just the new dynamic of how people are living now. There's a lot of disappearing walls. There's a lot of the Del Sur room is very popular in all the different communities there. And in fact, Theresa and I were walking through a house that was being built the other day, and we saw that it was a laundry room and had a place for the washer, dryer, had a place for a refrigerator. Then we looked over, there's a sliding door to step outside, but then there was a shower in the corner of the laundry room. And we looked down and painted across the bottom, it said, super laundry room and pet suite.
I love it.
So it just shows it's going to the dogs.
Yeah.
They're a big part of families now, and the builders are accommodating that.
Yeah, and I think that's smart. I mean, the one thing that builders are very good at doing is seeing the change in what families want. I mean, for many years we saw a changeover from big lots with a lot of outside space to not a lot of outside space and all inside. And maybe that was to profit. Maybe that was to just pack in as many homes as possible. But people like spending time outside. And you're seeing those disappearing walls. I mean, it's a tribute to our wonderful weather here in San Diego. And people want to get that outside living inside and merge those gaps. Now, I have a question for you. I mean, you guys you help listing, sellers, you help buyers. But, I mean, is it important on a new construction project? Let's say I'm interested in buying a new home. Is it important for me to have representation before I walk into that new home construction area?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We frequently accompany our clients into the new builds. And when you're in there, we know the salespeople. We know what's on the market. We know what is shaky in escrow. And we can provide the expertise and also additional negotiation skills to assist you, and the builders pay the commission. And the builders want quality buyers, and they want a quality lender. So when we show up with our buyers, they know that we got a strong lender, just like you, JJ. If you have an experienced lender as part of the real estate team, it's what makes sellers take your offer.
Yeah, definitely. And that you know the people in there. I mean, I see it too much out there where, people are just driving around, right? You're out and about on a weekend.
Yeah.
You work with somebody, but you forget as a buyer that you maintain that relationship even if it's new construction. Because I'll tell you what will happen when you walk in and you don't have your representation with you. You're not going to get a deal. You're not going to have any negotiation ability on that home. I'm not going to say take advantage of you, but they're going to take advantage of you because you're not represented. They now have full power as a builder to get you in, and they'll make it look nice for you. They'll make it look pretty. They'll give you some incentives for some upgrades and some packages. But at the end of the day, just remember that they're representing themselves. and they're representing you within that. And I made that mistake on the very first home that I purchased. It was new construction, walked in there, and thought I got a great deal, but I probably didn't. And I learned my lesson. It was years ago. And it's good to know that you do represent people. And I want to give their contact info out. This is Theresa and Ray Shay. It's Shay Realtors. And they will represent you all over San Diego County, but they do specialize in some areas. Rancho, Penasquitos, Forest Ranch, Del Sur, Santa Luz, Crosby. And they cover all bases here. They give a ton back to the community, which is just of the utmost importance in today's day and age, giving back. If you want to send them an email, you can send them an email at info@shayrealtors.com. That's SHAY. Don't get confused with the spelling. info@shayrealtors.com. Or just give them a call. It's 858-449-7355. 858-449-7355. I know we made you a little bit smarter than everybody else today on this Macro Money. Guys, thank you for taking the time to come in to the studio. I know on Mondays it's tough. Time goes by really fast on air here. We're going to have you back, so get ready for the next time on. But thank you, Theresa. Appreciate your time.
Well, thank you, JJ. We really appreciate you having us.
And Ray, thank you.
Thank you, JJ.
Looking forward to having you back. It's ShayRealtors.com. SHAY Realtors.com. It's your lunch hour. I'll see you on Wednesday to talk about our new PATH program. If you've had some credit challenges you want to buy, you got to tune in Wednesday, 1700 ESPN. Mr. Credit.
If you would like to contact Mr. Credit or access any free offers mentioned on the show, just go to MrCredit.org. That's MrCredit.org.